Hello, hello. All right. How
Hey
is
there.
everyone out there? So we are here again today with Digital Growth Live. I'm so excited. We have a new entrepreneur who is fabulous, Bejanae.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome. So we're streaming over LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook right now. So I'm excited for everyone to hear about Bijane's story. And again, Digital Growth Live is my passion project where I'm talking to over 100, well, let's get to 100 women entrepreneurs this year, really showcasing their skill sets, talking to women in all different industries, and just really bringing light to what you guys are doing. And so my tagline is be seen and be heard in this digital world. So I'm so excited to bring you on, hear your beautiful voice, and talk about your business.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So excited to be here. And thank you again for uplifting our voices. Women supporting women. I love that.
Yes, you just gave me goosebump, uplifting our voices. It's so important. So for my audience who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and your business, because I love what you do in this world.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Bejanae Kareem. I'm the founder and executive director of BK International Education Consultancy. And simply, our focus, our mission is to amplify education equity. And we do that by building educators' capacity to increase students' access to innovative and inclusive education. So that's the short and end of it. And we do that through trainings, coaching, educational products, things of that nature. So we're excited to be able to um, change the game, especially since the pandemic and the way children are able to access education.
Thank you. So innovative and inclusive education. I think that's such an amazing topic, and it's so important. Before COVID, I don't think there was a light really shining on it, but because of COVID, I think it's really shined a light on how our education system has some disparities. So tell me a little bit about how do you do that? How do you help with innovating education in this digital landscape?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would really say it started with my journey into education. So, being a woman of color, I was called, I would say, into the profession. I actually majored in the science. I was a STEM major first. And I was introduced to education by the way of Teach for America, actually. And so
Oh.
that was my first introduction to it, but it made sense because I actually come from a family of educators. So it was like, yeah. And there's so much power in knowing and knowledge, right? Because it opens your eyes to options and choices and just experiences, right? And so for me, I spent some time in the science industries, transitioned into education, and then I just it opened my eyes to a variety of things. So one, it seemed like school systems had a traditional way of educating you. So the focus was primarily on math and
Mhm.
literacy, and those things are important, right? But I also know as an educator, our time is so restricted where we have to get so many things in at one time. And what I learned was the best way to maximize my instructional time was to integrate those content areas. And so you
Mhm.
get more out of learning with children if you have a more blended or integrated approach with content. It also helps children to see the connections because while we traditionally teach those content areas in silos, we interact with things on a day to day basis that overlap and they're not in silos. We don't just read something that's for literacy's sake. Usually it has something to do with some information I need to process. There may be some formulas that I need to calculate. I may be reading that content on my cell phone, which is technology. So that was something that I found as a useful tool in helping to help my students learn.
And what grade do you teach, or are you still teaching, or you used to teach?
So I teach teachers. Now I teach teachers
Okay.
and I teach school administrators. Yes. So, but when I was in the classroom, when I was a classroom practitioner, I taught anywhere from pre-K through 12.
Mhm.
I mostly specialize at the elementary level, which is great because that is really setting the foundation, for children's matriculation through school and their experience of what school is.
And I love how your business is helping children of color. I feel like, and this is my thought, right? I feel like STEM is not really it's not really we don't have access, or there's not these like role models in STEM at least when I was growing up, that I could look up and like identify. I was like, oh, that seems interesting, science or technology. And it just so happened I ended up in the technology industry. And now I'm really passionate because I see how many opportunities and how amazing the information that's in this industry.
Hmm.
But I also would love to see more children of color, people of color, women of color come
Hmm.
into this industry, and it seems intimidating. So
Hmm.
I love how you're doing the work now at younger ages. So
That's right.
there's no like intimidation when you're a little bit older. Because when I get into a room, I'm usually one of the only people with this kind of hair.
Oh, I hear you, girl. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, absolutely. Representation matters, right? And the other thing that I've learned, and I'm sure you're learning now, as well, is that there are stories out there. So that's why I applaud you for uplifting our voices because we're out there, but our light hasn't been shown on our stories, and it's not out
Mhm.
there in the masses. And so when kids can see people who identify as such as them, oh, I can do that too. Oh, that piece of cake, right? That that is a lane for me or a path for me that I can potentially explore. That's powerful. That's powerful. That's
Yeah.
your life's work in finding your purpose, and that's part of what school should do, right? Help
Yes.
children to find their purpose in their life's work.
Yeah. And I have a lot of friends and family who are educators, so I applaud you all, but I also hear like the struggle between educating our kids and then the school system. And I
Yeah.
just see the real strife, and now the added complexity of COVID, right? And everything intertwined. So I just see the stress that our teachers have, our educators
Hmm.
have, really providing this education. But I'm wondering from like a parent standpoint, right? Because we have a lot of parents who would probably be watching this. Like, how do they make education in STEM more accessible and, I want to say, more interesting, but more accessible and interesting to their kids?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple things that come to mind. I think of the 5 C's in terms of making learning relevant. So one is the ultimate goal, what you want to see come out of whatever it is that you're putting before any type of learner, whether they're a child or an adult, is that it should foster some level of critical thinking, right?
Hmm.
We're past just remote and memorizing facts. That is not as much of a useful skill in your adult life because we come across critical problems every day, working on teams, working on projects, and we need those critical thinking skills. So whatever you're putting in front of a child or adult or whoever should invoke critical thinking. Another C is allowing for collaboration in that learning event, that learning activity. So being able to talk and learn from other people, that's how we learn first. We learn first from our parents at home before we even get to school. That's why they say, parents are children's first teachers. So critical thinking is important. Being able to collaborate is important as well. I would say communication. So being able to
Hmm.
express, whether it's in writing or verbally, those are all methods and mechanisms of communications that are important as adults, right?
Yeah.
Listening is also a part of that communication skill, but we don't we don't focus on that a lot. But communication is also key. The other C would be creativity. As you know, with younger kids, they are so creative and imaginative and draw pictures and with all kind of colors. And then as they continue to go through school, they learn school and they lose some of that creativity in them. we want to continue to give them things that spark their curiosity and their creativity, because those are the ones, like you said, in technology or in engineering or in science, that invent things that are beneficial to all of society, right? Who think
Mhm.
outside of the box. And then the last C would be, it should be culturally relevant. And a lot of times when people hear culturally relevant, you automatically go to skin color. Culturally relevant is far beyond just skin color and complexion. Culture could be, millennials versus Z Gen versus, digital natives, right? It could be skin color. It also could be your background, what region that you grew up from. So culture is in a variety of different places and settings, but being clear in understanding what is the culture of your little one or your students that you're teaching, and how can you leverage that and use that as a building block to expose them to new content. So
Mm.
I would say the 5 C's, and again, that those are broad enough that whatever activity, if you're hitting on a couple of those C's, then you're doing a great job. You're setting your child up for success.
I love that. So I have a nephew who's 3 who I adore, and he has so much creativity. And I hope he continues to foster that. And I see like, and this is a whole different conversation, but like social media, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
kills that for children.
yeah.
Our digital worlds, I feel like kills that for children. But again, a whole nother
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like I hope to, I thank you for those tips because I definitely, as he continues to grow, making sure that he's exposed to those areas. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit more about your business, how long you've been doing it, and yeah, how we can support you.
Yeah, absolutely. So BK International Education Consultancy was launched in 2012 already. Time has flown and it's
Mm.
2022. Right. Was launched.
Congratulations,
Thank
10
you.
years.
I just thought
Well,
about that. Anniversary time. Yay.
yeah, that's amazing.
So we launched it in 2022, and really my focus was, from being in the classroom with kids, I really felt like there was a need to continue and to better support educators in
Mm,
their role, because I want, and parents as well, because when in the school system, I realized like to really help support children. Children need this cradle or this trifecta, so to speak. You need parents on board, you need educators on board, you also need the business industry all
mm,
connected and on board, and that to me creates this holistic approach and support for children. And so, what I wanted to do with BK International Education Consultancy is help the adults in children's lives to just what you said. How can they foster, those 5 C's or STEM mindsets at home, regardless if you have high tech things at home or low tech things. That's irrespective of that. If you have gadgets or not, but how can you create those, or foster and enhance and strengthen those mindsets that children have, so that as they matriculate through school and get out in the world, they're finding what they're passionate about and how they can best contribute back to, society as a whole. So we provide tons of professional learning for educators. And when I say educators, I am inclusive of everybody. So your traditional classroom teachers, teacher assistants, paraprofessionals, pre-K teachers, daycare providers, parents as well, all youth organizations. They all have some type of student programming, and I consider them to be educators as well. So we train educators as well as leaders. Our organization is also, I'm excited to say, accredited to offer continuing education units or CEUs through the International Association of Continuing Education and Training. So that means we've gone through this rigorous standard, and we have top of the line instructional practices and workshops and trainings that upon completion of those trainings, you can get CEUs. And it's great for teachers, for educators, because they're universal and you can use them to recertify your credentials. So it's definitely, I would say, a win-win. And so we have tons of programs. So continuing education training in what? STEM. We have a STEAM and STEM boot camp for school leaders. So for
Mhm.
school leaders who want to transition and really accelerate learning and integrate those content areas, but don't know where to start, right? And that takes a true culture shift in their school. We have a boot camp for them. We partner with several nonprofits and have this for-profit nonprofit relationship to where we have an early family literacy program, and we
Mm,
get families engaged in reading culturally relevant texts early so they can build strong learners
love
before
it.
they start kindergarten. Um, and not only do they read, right, and develop these reading rituals, and we model, what are some reading strategies that teachers would use in school that parents can use at home, but we also enhance that learning with STEM builds and STEM activities right from the story. So we're not just reading, which reading is great, and kids love, even adults love people to read to them. But we enhance it with that creativity and with the building and that iterative process of trying something out. Oh, it didn't work. Let me try it again. Let me try it this way, right? Um, so we do that program with one of our nonprofit partners, Metamorphosis Powerhouse Company, which we formed a really strong partnership since the pandemic and has been amazing in the communities that we've been able to touch and reach with that particular program. Another program that we have is called Project Smart. We love to do what we call intergenerational programs. So
Mm,
if BK International does a program um, with children, usually there's an adult nearby. So just like with our Transform the Spark family literacy program, you have parents and children learning side by side. Project Smart also has teachers and students learn side by side. This is a summer enrichment program where kids learn how to leverage technology in positive ways to redesign their community. I mean, it is just fantastic and creative what kids come up with, and I mean of all ages, especially the younger kids. It's just amazing, and they get to explore STEM careers. They get to meet STEM career professionals, and they have to pretty much pitch their projects, which is tying into that communication piece. To adults, which can be pretty daunting, but they step up, and it's just fantastic. It's just fantastic what we see. And one other project I'll share as well, or not project, but service that we offer is around grant writing. So in order to do like these creative things, you need money. We need funding, right? And I
mhm.
remember as an educator having to spend out of my pocket. If there are any educators who's tuning in, raise your hand if you have come out of your pocket to pay for things for your classroom or for your students. And I'm sure probably 90%
Yeah.
will have raised their hands. And what I find, to me, I would say disheartening about that is that there's a disconnect between um, funding that is actually being currently flooded into schools and school districts to help them during the pandemic, but that money, unfortunately, is not trickled down to the classroom as teachers need it to create those innovative and inclusive environments. And
Mhm.
so there's money still out there, though, for educators to tap into. And so that's one of the trainings that we offer for educators as well, daycare providers, traditional classroom teachers, so they can get what they need to help support their teachers, their students, so they can see positive outcomes for kids. So just a couple of things that we do
Love
at
it.
BK International.
It's amazing. I mean, all the projects that you're working on, I'm just like, this is like goosebumps. Like, I feel like it really, because again, I have like friends who are educators, and I'm like, God, it sounds so daunting. But like, you talk about innovative education, and that's what you're really doing.
Mhm.
And I like to do business from a holistic perspective, mind, body, spirit, and that's what that's what you're doing, parents, teachers,
Mhm.
students. And I was
That's
like,
right.
wow, like it seems so simple,
Right.
but yet it's so daunting,
Mhm.
right? And you're
Mhm.
shining a light on all different areas and where, hey, we can all work together
That's right.
to move our students or our students forward. They're our future,
That's
right?
exactly right. That's exactly
So
right.
that's amazing. I'm curious with all these amazing projects, like what's like your dream I don't know, I mean, your dream goal or like what's like the end vision that you really want to get to? Because I always love to support women in business. So if there's a
Yeah.
way that I could help, I'm always like, okay, where do they really want to go? What kind of resources do they need?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of initiatives that we actually have and are moving forward towards. So one, as I mentioned about teachers, like I would really like to see the practice or the culture of teachers spending out of pocket completely like eradicated. There's no reason for it. There's funding out there. There are foundations who are willing to help support. Um, and we have an initiative now actually called Buy Books, Change Lives, where we are donating um, we self-published a book called 12 Quick Steps to Writing Winning Classroom Grants. And it's a quick read, but it helps educators connect what they do in their lesson plans to how it applies to a grant application. How can you write a grant application just by using your lesson plan? And all teachers have written a lesson plan. So this reduces their learning curve in learning the language or the science behind grant writing. And so with Buy Books Change Lives, we are tapping into corporations, foundations, individuals who want to sponsor a teacher and having access to this grant writing starter guide. So that's one thing that we envision and we want to eradicate is teachers having to spend out of pocket for things for their children, but still getting the support that they need to enhance the learning environment. So that's one.
I
That's
love it.
one.
So LinkedIn world, because I know we have
Yes,
so many corporations and so many different industries.
that's
Please
right.
out, sponsor a teacher. Our teachers have done so much. Our educators have done so much in
That's
the last
right.
years, and they're doing it with their own money.
That's
And I
right.
see it all the time. So please reach out and sponsor an educator. That really makes a difference. It is the ripple effect.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so tell me
Absolutely.
more. What else do we want to do?
Yeah. Okay. So the overall goal is to advance education equity. So one is through helping to support teachers, right? Because when teachers are winning, students are winning, right?
Yeah.
Another way is to see children thrive regardless of their zip code, right? Regardless if you're in poverty, you have a certain complexion, whatever, what school you go to, you should have access, all children should have access to a quality education. And that means that's culturally relevant, that invokes critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, communication, all those C's that I had mentioned earlier. So that is also an important thing. So we definitely want to see the landscape of curriculum and education change because, as you mentioned, there were cracks in the foundation in some places gaps in the education system, and that was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
What the pandemic has really shown a spotlight on, oh yeah, that there's a problem that, oh my goodness, there that we can't turn a blind eye to. And so we have to do education differently. Like we have to. There's no excuse. We have to do right by kids, and we have to do education differently if we want to see different results.
Yeah. I love it. Love, love, love it. Awesome. So, curious because so you have a book out, right?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay, so make sure you get her book. Is there anything that you want our audience to like know about you? Like if you have like any specific programs coming up or any like specials coming up?
Absolutely, yes. So a couple of things. So one, we have several. Actually, we have several educators who are no longer in school systems, but they want to keep their teaching certificate active. And so, because we offer continuing education units, we've been busy building out an online library of self-paced courses that educators can take and earn those CEUs in the comfort of their place. They can be in their PJs, wherever, long as you have internet access and a computer, they can tap into that. So I would love for you all to check out our website at www.bkconsultancy.org, and stay tuned for the rollout and the launch of those self-paced courses. And even if you're not an educator, maybe you are a parent and you're a homeschool teacher, right? And you want to enhance your instructional practices. We have courses for you as well. We also quarterly we host an instructor led by me a grant writing class. So we call it grant writing for educators. We have different names for it, but essentially for those who have the book or would like to speak to someone, which would be me, in person, just to really unpack what the book is saying, to ask some real time questions. We also offer that grant writing for educators boot camp. So that's being released very soon as well. And
Awesome.
also, if people follow us on Instagram at BK underscore consultancy. So that's at BK underscore consultancy. We post when these things will be coming out. So when these promos are coming out, when the class is coming out, when we have collaborations with others. For example, myself and another organization called Create and Educate. We host either Instagram Live, sometimes on Clubhouse, sometimes it's on YouTube or Facebook Live, and we talk specifically with authors and educators who want to build their classroom libraries. And so,
Mhm.
how can you do that? You can do that through grant funding for authors too. Authors, I know a lot of and before I didn't know this, but there are tons of author groups, um, people of color who have created quality children's books out there that I didn't know about when I was a classroom teacher, and I wish I did. And so, talking about culturally relevant and representation, and so we're helping authors to leverage grants as well, so that they can increase their reach and their readership, and maybe make connections with schools and partners with schools and be able to distribute their books that way. So that's another partnership that's going on. And again, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll have more information about when that is happening. And so yeah, so those same programs. So we have the grant writing, we have the Project Smart is summer based, so that's coming up as well. The STEAM boot camp, reach out to us so we can create something customized specifically for your school. The book, so you can get this on our website. You can actually get it on Amazon right now. We have it on sale. You can get the hardback or the paperback. You will never guess how much it is, Emily.
How much? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me.
You can get it under $20. Under 20 bucks. That's a win, especially when I know as an educator, I would spend over $300. So if I can learn how to grant write and it only costs me $20 to do so, like that's a easy return on
All
on
I thought was like,
investment.
what a great return on an investment because you get the
Yeah,
book for under $20. You get a grant for over 100, 500, a
that's
1,000.
right. That's
It's
right.
sold,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Teachers are getting grants anywhere, like you said, a couple hundred up to thousands of dollars, and they can spend it on anything. So it could be to make your classroom more inviting, for fidget spinners for students, for SEL tools, for books. It could be for helping kids maybe build their own home libraries. A variety of things. It could be for backpacks. It could be for professional development for the teachers themselves. So there's tons of things that grants can be used for. Manipulatives in the classroom. It goes on. Devices, software programs, whatever you've been spending, an educator has been spending their money on. they can write a grant and have it paid where it doesn't have to come out their pocket. So.
I love that. I mean, now that I thought about it, I thought some other nonprofit organizations that I've worked with in the past that they work with minority students. So I could just think of a couple different people that I'm after this. I'm like, okay, you got to go get this book. You got to go get this book. You got to get this book.
And
Yeah.
everyone tells me it's super easy to read. I know teachers don't have a lot of time, so it's maybe 50 pages. It has examples in there of winning grants that I wrote when I was in a classroom teacher. So they have an example of how to word it and how to phrase it. So an exemplar, so to speak. It
Yep.
even has some quick checks in there. So just to check for understanding. So it's a great starter guide and a great resource tool that like you said, some nonprofits have been using. I use it in my business as a small business, and was recently awarded two grants from two major companies. So I would use it
I
whether
think I
you're a
need to
teacher
go
or not.
online and buy this right now. It's like, wait a minute, I like some grants because I've been seeing more and more grants out there, and I feel like it's a
That's
little bit
right.
daunting to like, oh, do like I don't even know where to start with grant writing, but I know there's money out there.
That's
So
right.
your
Start
book,
here.
your book
Start
is the
here.
answer. I love it.
Start there.
I
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
Awesome. So it's been so great chatting with you about your business. I always like to kind of transition after we talk about your business and all the work that you're doing into, like I said, mind, body, soul. So
Yes, yes,
one
yes,
of the
yes.
things is like you are rocking like all these programs and all these initiatives. How do you take care of yourself and how do you ride the roller coaster of entrepreneurship? Because 10 years in, I know you've had stories. I know you have war
Oh
stories.
yes. Oh yes. OJT, especially being what I call the CEO, the Chief Everything Officer. Yes, you definitely have to ride the wave and take care of yourself, because if you're not well, then your business won't be well. So some things I guess in which I do, I'm a big proponent of, I'm a sleep advocate. So where I can, I will take a nap. Okay, a nap is one.
I
Is
love naps. I love
yes.
naps. They're the best.
Nap is one for me for sure. Another thing is just setting a time to when you're going to cut it off. Like now we're so engaged in screens more often, whether it's on your phone or, on your computer screen or whatever, but really setting a time and cutting the lemon off. Another thing that I had to grow to do is that I am such a worker bee. So I was working 7 days a week. And so now I have it to where Sundays, regardless of what I'm doing, even if I don't feel like I'm being productive, that is my day off. That is my unstructured day. Since everything else is so structured, Sundays is my unstructured day. So I can do whatever I want, or go wherever I want, but long as it's not work related. Um, and the other thing is, I live by my calendar. Speaking of structured and
Mm.
unstructured, and, and so those things that you say that you want to do that really feed you, instead of letting your calendar filled up with business and meetings, because that's going to happen naturally, plan out those times for yourself and honor that time for yourself.
I
So
love
whether it's a nap, whether it's maybe you go to the spa and get a massage, or get your nails done, or just walk outside, whatever it is, or light a candle maybe and sit quiet, just sit still for a second and smell the nice smell from whatever it is. Just take a couple moments, and put it into your calendar, and that is your you time, what I call your happy hour.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You're a happy hour. And I think it's so important, right? If a lot of times people say, I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time. Schedule the time and make it like that is like a number one priority. Like that is your top
Mhm.
client that you're meeting with
That's
from five
exactly
to
right.
six, right?
That's
Because
right.
you are your top client.
You
If
are your
you go
top client.
down, your ship goes down, there's still a way to continue to generate business, right?
Yeah,
So I
you're
think it's
right.
so important to do that. And I love all the examples that you gave. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Well, we are a little bit over 30 minutes.
Okay.
It was such a pleasure. Anything else that you want to share with us or
I just think you are amazing, Emily. Again, thank you so much for lifting women's voices. A lot of times, sometimes we're overlooked, or not heard, and so the fact that you've created this space and this platform for us to be heard, that says so much about you. And I greatly appreciate being able to sit here and share with your audience. So
Oh,
thank you so
thank you
much.
so much. I've received that. And a lot of times I'm like, "Oh, no, no," but I really do receive that. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much, audience. Make sure you follow Bejanae and Bejanae's audience. Make sure you follow me. We're
That's
going to have
right.
amazing digital growth live entrepreneurs every week. Again, my goal this year is 100. I say go big or go home. And if you're at home, you can take a nap.
That's right. And then wake up and watch Digital Growth Live.
There
That's
you
right.
go. I love it. So there are going to be so many other great opportunities and great speakers coming up throughout the year. So make sure you follow And again, it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you from the bottom of the heart for the work that you're doing. It is so needed. I mean, we found nothing else from COVID. We have seen so many disparities in our education system. So
Mhm.
you are lifting up parents, you're lifting up teachers, and you're lifting up students, which is again goosebumps, which is such a beautiful passion that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that is it for today. And we will see you again next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.